Welcome back to the Tasty Tenner series. I'm Tess, and in this episode I'm going to be making a salmon and broccoli quiche. To start off, I'm going to be making the pastry. So I need flour, butter and a bit of water. I've got 200 grams of flour, which I'm going to go straight into my bowl here. Get all that out. And then I'm going to go in the butter, which is slightly softened. I've left it out of the fridge for about 15 minutes or so, just to let it soften, and it makes it a lot easier to break into the flour. So I'm just going to crumble that up. For the full list of ingredients, just check out the description box. Okay, so the pastry's nice and crumbly, it's nearly there. It's like a wet sand consistency. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water, just gradually, a couple of tablespoons or so. You don't want to add too much because when you cook it, it shrinks if you add too much water. But it's just to bring together the dough. Just enough. Okay, so now the pastry's come together nicely into a ball. So I'm just going to shape my pastry up and then grab my cling film. Just going to wrap it up. So I'm just going to leave this to chill in the fridge for at least 20 minutes or so before I roll it out and pop it in my pastry dish. So I've got my salmon here, which I'm going to get ready. It's just plain, simple fillet of salmon. And I'm just going to season it with a bit of salt and pepper. Straight in the bowl. I'm just going to wrap it up in some foil. So I'm just going to add a blob of butter like that. I'm going to pop it on a baking tray and just whack it in the oven for about 12 minutes, just until the salmon's nice and flaky. So I've just taken my pastry out of the fridge. It's nice and hard. So I'm going to unwrap it and I'm going to gently dust my surface. You really don't want to go with too much flour when you're rolling out your pastry, because otherwise it takes on all the flour and it becomes really dry. And you want it to remain supple and soft, so it becomes crispy and crumbly and not hard. And you can also just dust your rolling pin as well before you roll it out. So I've got my pastry into the pie dish. I took it out of the fridge, rolled it out, popped it in the baking dish, trimmed the edges and popped it back in the fridge for an extra 20 minutes. So it's cold to touch. And I've preheated my oven to 180 degrees. So I'm just going to pop some greaseproof paper in and pour in. I'm using dried beans, but you can use baking beans, ceramic beans, anything like that. I'm just going to pour all of those in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blind bake it in the oven for 10 minutes with the beans in. Then I'm going to take the beans out and I'm going to bake it for a further 5 minutes. So I'm just going to make the egg mixture. I've got 4 eggs here, which I'm just going to crack in to my bowl. Put those there. Right, I'm just going to go in with my double cream. Ooh, look at that. Okay. And I'm going to zest in some lemon. Perfect, right. So I'm just going to season it with a bit of salt and pepper. You can be generous with the pepper. I love my pepper. And a nice big couple of pinches of salt. Okay, I'm just going to give it a whisk up. Okay, so the filling's all whisked up and ready to go into the pastry. So I've just taken my quiche base out of the oven. It had 15 minutes with the baking beans in and 5 minutes with them out, just to dry out the bottom a bit. Now I'm just going to go in with the salmon. This is the salmon I've cooked earlier, and I'm just flaking it over the bottom really simply. I'm just going to add the broccoli in as well. So I steamed this broccoli earlier for about 5 minutes or so it's vibrant and green. It's not overdone, so it still retains a little bit of its texture. It's not soggy at all. I'm just going to season it with a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt, like this. Salt. And I'm just going to pour over my custardy egg mixture. I've poured it so that it's nearly full up. I'm going to add it to the oven and add the extra of the egg mixture once it's in the oven. I just don't trust myself not to drop it. So I'm just going to pop it in the oven for about 25 minutes or until the quiche is nice and set. It should set to a nice wobble though. You don't want it to be too solid. Okay, so my quiche has just come out of the oven and I'm just finishing off the courgette salad, which I've just speed peeled. This is about 2 courgettes going in. So I'm going to go in with half a teaspoon of mustard. And I'm just going to go in with some lemon juice, a couple of teaspoons worth, and some olive oil. About a few tablespoons, 2 to 3 tablespoons is about right. I'm just going to mix that around a bit. If you like this recipe, please subscribe. Check out more of my Tasty Tenner series. So here's my salmon and broccoli quiche and my delicious fresh courgette salad. I really hope you enjoyed my Tasty Tenner series and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.